Good morning, rise and shine. It is Sherry and Christy Chapman time. Welcome to the Green Nurse Podcast, where we bring you hope and inspiration for growth and healing. And we're happy to have you here today. We're going to start the day off in the most amazing way. First, with a little video of what inspires us to get up every morning. Here we go.
Let me change the paradigm of healthcare.
The Green Nurse is a holistic cannabis nurse that teaches on the endocannabinoid system and the safe utilization of cannabis and other progressive tools to help people reach a better quality of life.
I'm the founder of Holistic Caring. We're based here in California, and we do educational programs and case management for patients on how to use cannabis therapeutically as a medicine.
We're also here to decrease stigma around what it means to feel good and be high, hence the H for hope, I for inspiration, G for growth, and H for healing.
As the founder of Holistic Caring, I basically oversee the whole ship, and what we're doing is progressive education.
Cannabis actually supports all 11 organ systems, our immune system, and all the neurotransmitter signaling systems that give messages to tell our body to either do something or not do something. Because the plant was prohibited, it prevented health professionals, doctors and nurses from learning about cannabis as medicine.
I want to change the paradigm of healthcare and us paving the way into a new vanguard of medicine. And I'm excited to really bring this into light. There's a company called Canum that we're merging with, and we will now be doing global education.
It's about education, it's about empowerment, it's about teaching people how to feel good, bridging the gap from what they're not getting from traditional medicine, utilizing different plant medicines, adaptogens, tips, tricks, hugs, and nugs of information to support and nourish the most important system in our body.
And it's a lot of soul work, a lot of love, a lot of discipline, and meditation. I'm using my life work as a testimony to others to learn how they can be their own hero and then go help heal the world.
And we are, as nurses, the game changers.
Good morning, and here we are, your daily dose of what? Hi, hope, inspiration, growth, and healing. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the show. I'm so excited here again this morning to have Christi Chapman from Chapman Health and Wellness. Christy, thank you so much for co-hosting. For our new viewers, you were on last week, and I profiled you and your amazing company as you are one of our new Green Nurse approved companies, creating this most amazing inhaler, which we're going to talk about a little bit later in the show. But for our new viewers and new fans that are joining us, please introduce yourself. Let everyone know where you're from and what you do.
Thank you so much, Sherry, for having me on Tuesdays. I am just looking forward to co-hosting on Tuesdays with you, so thank you so much. My name is Christi Chapman. I'm a respiratory practitioner. I started practicing in 1991. I worked in critical care in the Portland, Vancouver area. I worked in the local burn center and the open heart team. And as my journey went, I required cannabis for my own health and started me on the best journey of being my best version. And so currently we have the Balm Body Care, and that was a topical that won an award in 2016 in Oregon. And then we proceeded into the inhaler industry in that I'm a respiratory therapist. Lung health is very, very important to me. And so with no heat and no smoke, we are able to feel better, do better, and not be high. Not that that's a bad thing, but there are times when it's not necessary. So living my best life up here in Washington and just enjoying growing.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. Your story is really, really compelling. You know, if y'all haven't watched it, I'll put it back up in the comments from the YouTube. Just a really great story of how, you know, we all don't wake up one day and say, hey, you know, I'm going to make cannabis as medicine. I'm going to be a cannabis nurse. I'm going to be a psychedelic nurse. I'm going to start a podcast and talk about plants and all kinds of stuff. There's usually a story. And that's why we're here, is because we know, we've seen, we've felt, we've experienced, not only personally, but also professionally with the patients that we work with, the healing power of plant medicine. So really, really, really so glad to have you here. You're a lot of fun. You are smart as a whip. You know, you've turned around, as many of us health professionals have, you know, the mess of what we've experienced as patients into a blessing, and how we're able to bring in the plant medicine and those other progressive tools, and how you saw a problem and you found the solution, right? You found the solution by creating this amazing little inhaler, which we're going to talk about later when we talk about methods of administration. But today, let's just hop right into the show. Today is Tuesday, Tidbit Tuesday, Hugs and Nugs, Terpene Tuesday. And let me just make sure I have this accurate here. We generally start off the day with a little bit of a reading, an affirmation. We pull a card. Well, I've got something very interesting. My the CEO and founder of Holistic Caring, Elizabeth Mack, sent me this book. It's called Untamed. All right, Elizabeth, I love you, girl. She sent me this cool book, and I started reading it. And literally, it's page 6 in the book. I'm just going to read a couple of sentences that were very, very profound. And it ties into, I would have to say, how the plant has helped me to evolve in the space as a nurse, both personally and professionally. So the author of the book writes, who was I before I became who the world told me to be? Who was I before I became who the world told me to be? So what she writes in here is that over time, through her own healing, she walked away from cages. She writes, I slowly built a new marriage, a new faith, a new worldview, a new purpose, a new family, and a new identity by design instead of default. From my imagination, and so it gets better, from my imagination instead of my indoctrination, from my wild instead of my training, right? So what is this plant, right? This plant has uncaged so many of us. This plant has taught us how to think has taught us to eliminate the box that says we must think outside the box. So this book is really powerful. I'm glued to it. It's paralleling, you know, a lot of different life situations that I've experienced, and how, you know, following your heart and following the wisdom of spirit, right? Spirituality is the root of cannabis care, can lead us into new ways of being, showing up in the world to be the best version of ourselves. So I don't know. What do you think about that? Right? Who was I before I became who the world told me to be?
That is so beautiful. Some of us grew up with a script of who we were supposed to be. Some of us grew up with no script at all. The best script that we can write for our life is the one that comes from in here, not the one that people tell you that you need to be or not be. So the plant just really, for me, Sherry, showed me who I was and showed me a beautiful road to walk down of being a better person. So waking up and being the best version of myself is my daily goal.
There we
go.
The
plant everyone. Helps me do that.
There we go. So all together, everyone, our morning mantra, peace begins with me. Inhale, Ananda. So here we are on this Tuesday morning, and we talk about terpenes a lot of times, tidbits, hugs, and nugs. And we're going to talk about Humulene today, which is a terpene. We've been going through the various terpenes. throughout the course of the past couple of years discussing them, but there's new information that comes up, there's new research that comes up, there's new experiences and how we dialogue and talk about this. But for the people that are new out there, we're going to talk about what terpenes are. So terpenes are organic compounds that produce specific smells and tastes in the plant. They're found in cannabis, essential oils, plants, trees, and foods. In cannabis, the terpenes help ward off attacks from animals, insects, and fungus during the growth cycle of the plant. And when the cannabis plant goes through the curation process, the terpenes become oxidized, resulting in what we know as terpenoids. So terpenes contribute to the entourage effect, and they all have their own healing properties. The entourage effect suggests that utilizing cannabinoids and terpenes together produces a more potent medicinal effect rather than using the isolated compounds alone. So another way of saying that is the whole of the plant is greater than its individual parts. So what is your experience been with terpenes, Christine? I'm going to pull up this handy dandy chart. What's your experience been with them?
Terpenes have been such an enhancement to the medications that, or not medications, but the formulations that we are using nowadays. We know that terpenes have such a great role in how the body works. Different terpenes, of course, have different mood stimulating effects, can, of course, decrease stress. It's calming. And so to be at a point where we are in the cannabis industry, to know that terpenes are just as important as the THC, CBD, CBG, and CBNs that we're utilizing. So even terpenes alone are very healing. So this is why I decided to be on your show with terpenes every Tuesday. They're very important. So cool. It's an important part.
It is. It's a really important part. And look at this huge list. You know, we have all of these. Last week, we talked about delta-3 carrying, you know, and it was known as an anti-inflammatory, a bone stimulant, has done a lot of other medicinal properties. But today we're going to talk about humulene. And humulene is a really interesting terpene. I've had a lot of experience with it personally because of the mere fact that it can suppress appetite for some people. So a lot of times when people are using cannabis, they'll be like, oh, I don't want to get the munchies. I don't want to get the munchies. And I'd be like, why aren't I getting the munchies? I am not getting the munchies at all. Like I need to use this plant, you know, to enhance my appetite and to eat better. And so I had to start looking into why.
Yes.
Well, this is why labeling, this is why certificate of analysis, this is why knowing what's in your product is really, really important. So we're going to talk about humulene. And humulene is a really, really interesting terpene. It's an isomer of beta caryophyllene, or it's also been noted as alpha caryophyllene. So an isomer means that each of the two compounds have the same formula, but different arrangement of molecules, and they have different energy states, meaning that they may do something different. So many of the same plants containing beta caryophyllene, basil, sage, clove, also contain humulene and some of those other similar aromas. So here's a big word. Humulene is a sequester terpene, while relatively common, it's also found in low concentrations of cannabis. So do you have your handy dandy notes up there, Christine?
I do. You are so organized. Humulene is found in hops, basil, coriander, sage, clove, black pepper, and fir tree, ginseng. Humulene smells like a spicy, earthy, woody, with a supple floral aroma.
I love that description.
It is delectable.
Yeah, and it's got a ton of health benefits. Tons of health benefits. And I think, what do I have down here as well? Oh, yeah, we do. We're going to talk a little bit about studies, too, in a little bit, which will be great. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Interesting. I just wanted to share that, interestingly enough, so many people think of cannabis as you will get the munchies, you will gain weight. And humulene is one of those that is a weight loss. It's an appetite suppressant. And there are so many parts of the plant that balance the appetite, whether you need to put weight on or take weight off. It's just a matter of the formulation and the terpene and the cannabis profile that you're partaking of. So don't anybody be stuck in thinking that if you use cannabis as a medicine, that you will gain weight, because that is a misguided fact.
Misguided fact, absolutely. So some of the benefits of Humulene include, like Christy had mentioned, weight loss. It can be used as an appetite suppressant. And it works along other chemicals in cannabis to promote that weight loss if needed. It's also used as an analgesic or a pain reliever. I've found that it to be a really potent anti-inflammatory. It's also, one of the interesting finds that I found when I was reading about this was the strength of Humulene has been compared to the steroid dexamethasone, which is very interesting. And that's at higher doses.
Can you believe that?
I know, right? I know.
I found that fascinating.
Some of the conditions. So think of some of the conditions. Okay, so anti-inflammatory, analgesic. Think of all of the conditions that are inflammatory conditions. There's a lot of them. Arthritis, bursitis, fibromyalgia, right? A lot of the illnesses that do develop over time is a result of inflammation, right? And inflammation, the inflammatory response wreaks havoc with our entire body. So some of the other benefits of Humulene is an anti-cancer. It inhibits tumor growth by producing reactive oxygen species, which are chemicals that help destroy the cancer cells. What about
how beautiful is that?
I know, right? So anti-cancer, which is really interesting. Go ahead.
Anti-cancer, the fact that it can destroy the cancer cell is just, I remember when I first found out about that, it was quite impressive. One thing I also found very impressive about terpenes and cannabis is that it is antibacterial. Working in the ICU, I am a little bacterial, what do you call it? I don't like bugs and germs. So the fact that it is an antibacterial, especially against a staph infection, this is one of my favorite nuggets about cannabis, is that, in fact, cannabis can take care of MRSA, methicillin staph-resistant aureus. And we know that in the hospital, it was a lifetime sentence for a patient. There were not antibiotics to take care of this issue. And so now the fact that we have such large antiviral components to fight infection, MRSA is actually going to be a thing of the past. So yes, antiviral.
Some of the things that are antiviral that it fights against: malaria, dengue fever, lymphatic filariasis, and other viruses from third stage larvae, right? Think about it.
Can you believe that?
So, right. So like linalool, limonene, there's a lot of these terpenes that are toxic against fungus and pests, which is great. So there's also cautions when it comes to Humulene in its pure form. So when we're talking about terpenes, we're talking about these little tiny components that are found in the plant. When you extract them, you can get this big, huge conglomerate of terpenes. And the thing is that we're not talking about going out and getting terpenes for consumption. We want you to all understand the different components, because when we talk about the cannabis plant has, some people say over 400, 500. I've heard Dr. Steven Spellman say over 1,500 components are in the cannabis plant: cannabinoids, terpenes, essential fatty acids, bioflavonoids, cannaflavins, all of these different things. So we're pulling out one tiny thing. So in large amounts, Humulene appears as a pale liquid with colors ranging from yellow, green, and clear. And in its concentrated form, it could cause irritation to the skin, eye, and mucous membranes in the respiratory tract. So we've been using a lot of information. We've been getting our research from CannaKeys. CannaKeys is an amazing resource. And so when I was looking up Humulene, I thought I would see a lot more studies. Now, there were a lot of studies, but not as many as I had hoped. And then we have to also remember too, research has been prohibited for a very long time. So we haven't been able to fully research terpenes on humans or doing double-blind placebo studies. So there were actually a total of 14 studies. 5 lab and 4 animal. And so the interesting thing about these different studies is they looked at receptors that were associated. They looked at different receptor signaling sites, the different types of conditions that it could work, and the different types of symptoms. And so the receptors associated with the research were the CB1 receptors, which are found primarily in the brain and the central nervous system. But they're also found, CB1 receptors are also found in the cardiovascular system, GI system, muscular system, reproductive, and respiratory system. So, Christy, on the list here, what were the top conditions related to these studies?
I'm sorry, I was so enthralled with what you were saying that I didn't follow.
Oh, that's all right. It's okay, good. I'll just start. Well, the big one of all, the biggest one of all is inflammation, right? So inflammation was the number one related condition that they studied in regards to using Humulene. The second one was cancer, non-specific cancer. Also, they did specific studies on other cancers, including breast, liver, colon, and ovarian. And some of the other things that they studied were pain, generalized pain, chronic pain, and believe it or not, asthma.
Asthma.
Right. So that's the boom, asthma. So for the new people that are out there, Christy, will you just explain asthma and because there's a lot of people that are out there that are a little hesitant if they have asthma or if they have any lung issues when it comes to consuming cannabis. Will you just go a little bit about what asthma is and how cannabinoids might make it better?
Well, asthma is a reactive airway disease, and we know that cannabis can actually relax the smooth muscle in the airway, allowing for the airways to open, allowing for more air and relief from the patient. So although it sounds quite opposite that you would not want to partake if you had asthma, in fact, it can be beneficial. There are certain cannabinoids that open the airways up. Actually, with studies done, they dilate the airways more so than the medicines that they are currently, sorry, I got a tongue twister, medicines that they are using currently in the hospital right now. We have cannabinoids and molecules that are doing a better job than Western medicine has done. So it's just a matter of coming to the surface. And cannabis is medicine, and asthma is one of those diagnoses that needs medicine. So having a plant-based medicine helps those patients to not have all of the side effects. Tachycardia being one of them, increased heart rate. We certainly see patients that are having so many problems with their breathing that they're having to take enough of that medicine to where it actually makes them sick. And we know that the plant does not make us sick. So if it will do a better job and it does not have the side effects, we need to shout it from the rooftop.
Absolutely. And so this is one of the amazing things that Christy's done with Chapman Health and Wellness is she's created a CBD metered dose inhaler. Okay, so this is amazing. Will you just describe this product for everyone and how you would recommend them using it? I know it's a pharmaceutical grade dosing with every puff, engineered to deliver strength and taste you want every time, discreet, compact, ready to use everywhere. Serving size is 10 milligrams per puff. I think this is great. 1,000 milligrams, 100 metered doses. Really good.
Well, as a healthcare professional, we always want to provide our patients with the most medicine that we possibly can. Having CBD in a metered dose inhaler for me allowed for the stigma to not be an issue for a parent who, or anybody who needed medication but did not want to deal with the stigma that came along with whether it would be smoking or vaping or the multiple different modalities that we can use. But in fact, somebody who's not feeling well can take this modality, this inhaler, and be able to go anywhere. There's no heat, there's no smoke. We are up against a huge battle with the stigma of cannabis. I was one of them until I needed it and found out what a wonderful, beautiful thing it is. But for us at Chapman Health and Wellness to offer an inhaler where somebody does not have to fight that stigma, and yet they can get the plant-based medicine that they need, that is our goal. And once somebody finds out how beneficial it is, then we like to educate them on the full plant. Some people like to go there, and some people, for many, many reasons, just can't. But we like to just assist them where they are. We like to meet them where they are. And dropping the stigma is what our product is about, and healing.
Yes. Excellent. Thank you so much. And Christy's product is in our CBD marketplace, Green Nurse approved, been vetted by cannabis professionals, health and wellness professionals, pharmacists. So we're really, really excited to have that product in our marketplace. And just to review, we talked about Humulene today, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, anti-tumor. There's a couple of strains. So if you're out and about and you decided you did want to purchase some cannabis and you were, looking for a product that might have a little bit more Humulene in it, these are some strains: Jack Herer, Chem Dog, Original Glue, Death Star, Sour Diesel, Headband, Thin Mint, Girl Scout Cookies, Original Glue, Candyland, Sherbet, Gelato, White Widow, and Pink Kush. So those were the strains that were listed as having the higher amounts of Humulene in them, which we know, what we had said, is really good antibacterial, anti-inflammatory, anti-tumor. And if you are someone that is looking to increase your appetite, Humulene may not be the terpene for you. So we're going to just end with that right there. Today, we want to invite you all to come to Holistic Caring Community. We have our monthly support group today. The monthly support group is for all people, providers. We're all patients. Let's just face it. We are all patients. We're all people.
We all have an endocannabinoid system.
Exactly. And if you have an endocannabinoid system, it is your job to take care of it. And so we're here to teach you. So today's support group is going to be really, really good. We're going to be talking about the holidays and how we as people can show up at the holidays. If you're a patient using cannabis, if you're new to the space, if you're becoming a practitioner, if you're interested in it, you're going to be going home for the holidays. You might be having these discussions and conversations. Number one, how do you take care of yourself? Number two, how do you use cannabis when you travel, when you're away? And number three, how do you have those difficult conversations with people that may not want to hear about plant medicine? So those are some of the things that we're going to talk about today in the support group. If you haven't joined the community, we want you to come and join us. Green Nurse Holistic Caring Community. It's free. We have a free introductory to cannabis course, patient portal, patient support group that meets today, book club, and our vetted marketplace. So we'd be really, really happy to have you all come in. So join us in the holisticcaring.com. And Christy, I don't know about you, but I think I'm going to have a good day today. What about you? What's going on?
Oh, I'm going to have a fantastic day.
Great. So we are living our best lives.
Our best lives.
Right? We're showing up and we're here to help others live their best lives. So thank you everyone for joining us this morning. We hope you have a fantastic day, and remember what it's all about. It is all about living your best life and helping others do the same.